Holy crap, man. It's been a long time since we've talked about a good idea coming from Microsoft, okay? Normally it's just all doom and gloom, but this time around, I mean, them getting rid of an entire DEI team kind of lets you know that the world, it's slowly healing. So let's talk about this. Microsoft axes an entire DEI team, claiming programs everywhere are no longer business critical or smart as they were in 2020. Let's just go ahead and run that back here real quick. They weren't smart in 2020. You just thought that that was the thing to do because all of your other friends that were out there were just trying to play with the rest of the cool kids, because we have the blog post for when you announce all this stuff addressing racial injustice. This comes from Satya Nadella, okay, the CEO of Microsoft. As I shared in our employee town hall last month and in my email earlier this month, we are committed to take action to help address racial injustice and inequality, and unequivocally believe that Black Lives Matter. Oh, so you were a part of that same hustle scheme, that same type of extortion that Black Myth Wukong exposed when Sweet Baby Inc. was trying to run their version of this racket on them? You just ended up getting approached for a shakedown. You went, okay, God, it's like we're Microsoft, okay? We're the first $1 trillion company. It's a couple $1 million to just go ahead and create a superfluous department that we can go ahead and close in about 4 years' time, okay? Well, let's continue. The new report comes from Business Insider's Ashley Stewart, who writes, after Microsoft laid off an internal team focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion, because they looked around and it's like, well, what do you do around here? We make DEI policies. It's like, well, we focus on software over here, so you can pack your shit and get out. Team leader, blasted the company for a lack of investments in these efforts, and they're like, you know what, that's great, okay, because we're now going to go ahead, we're going to take a look at our investments in these policies and decide that now we're just going to go ahead and make it zero, so pack up and get out. And the email from the manager stated in part, true system change work associated with DEI programs everywhere are no longer business critical or as smart as they were back in 2020. I don't like this shifting narrative, okay? Never let them forget the damage these policies did. As long as they were overt, they've been covert for much longer than that. But when they started to get formalized, when they started to get business space, when they were unapologetic with the chyrons that would presage their positioning, don't let them forget, okay? Their anti-male, their anti-white bias that they let fly for so long, so openly. Don't let them forget the damage. Don't let them off the hook for all the damage that they wrought on the industry. The report also noted that the team was eliminated because of changing business needs as of July 1st. Yes, exactly. Despite the team being scrapped, Microsoft spokesman, we're not diverse and we're not inclusive anymore, so we actually use the proper terminology for people. The spokesman, Jeff Jones, did commit to the company to diversity and inclusion moving forward. Our D&I commitments remained unchanged. But that whole equity stuff where we just go ahead and make superfluous hiring choices, yeah, that's kind of off the books. He added, our focus on diversity and inclusion is unwavering, and we are holding firm on our expectations, prioritizing accountability, and continuing to focus on this work. I'm sure you will, because as much as this is a step in the right direction, this is definitely a positive change. Microsoft and these big companies are still going to be who they are at the end of the day. So it's open and honest criticism of these types of policies, of the of the work that they bore out that will either ultimately appeal to you or not. We've seen their work for a very long time. Like I said, just because they established the division back in 2020, no, I'm not talking about the Ubisoft game that just died on the vine. I'm talking about the fact that this stuff has been in the works for a very, very long time. Because when I first dipped out of video games back in, whenever Mass Effect Andromeda came out, was that 2017? I could see a change in the winds when it came to gaming, okay? I was really looking forward to the follow-up of the incredible Machine Games Wolfenstein reboot. That was fantastic. And then with the announcement of the second one coming out, and you had strong black protagonist and BJ Blazkowicz's pregnant wife getting in on the battle. It's like, what the hell is going on here? That's just like, what? No, BJ Blazkowicz, for Christ's sakes, okay? He's up there in iconography in terms of first-person shooters with the Doom guy and Master Chief, for Christ's sakes. Like, what are we doing here? Why do you need all this stuff? It doesn't make your games any better. And then, of course, all of the ugly and stupid characters from Andromeda that were heavily influenced by the likes of Nita Sarkeesian. And then, of course, The Last of Us 4 with the stupid muscle mommy insert from Neil Cuckman after he pushed Amy Hennig out of the company at Naughty Dog. And I knew that, yeah, it's about time to take a step back from gaming. Little did I know that things would only get considerably worse in the convening years, but at least now we're speaking out about this and we're starting to see some changes. This commitment was made evident when the company rolled out its Gaming for Everyone product inclusion framework earlier this year. Xbox head of Gaming for Everyone and Sustainability, Katie Jo Wright, explained the purpose of the framework in an interview with Games Industry. If you don't intentionally include, you will unintentionally exclude. That's interesting because now you're intentionally including and intentionally excluding with your race and sex swaps. Now that is how we are as human beings. No. That type of binary thinking, well, I can think of what group of human beings normally prioritize that over compelling gameplay, characters, and stories. But I shall continue. There's no shame in that. If you want to include, then you have to be intentional about that. Again, Microsoft has really knocked it out of the park recently with a bunch of their announcements and choices. The framework includes the 10-point inclusion actions. Yes, are you reinforcing any negative gender stereotypes? We went over all of this stuff as well, and it's all cancer, right? But in light of this, is this affecting Microsoft stock at all whatsoever? Well, it's down recently. Okay, in the past 5 days, it's on a bit of a trend. It's on a bit of a slope downwards. But let's take a look. Okay, a 3-year pattern. Okay, it'll kind of let you know because prior to this, okay, we could go a little bit further back from that. Okay, we can go all time, but it ends up getting not too consequential when you can start to see Microsoft really dominate the field. They've been on an upward trajectory. Since about 2015, everything really took off for them, and it's only with the little bump right there in 2022 when everybody wasn't beholden to their products anymore. But then they've since, of course, recouped all of those losses. Mostly on the back of, well, firing everybody who's not nailed down, if we're being completely honest. So it'll be interesting to see what Microsoft and Xbox and all of their affiliated brands are going to try to get away with in the next few months and years. It's just, I think we all kind of figured out at this point in time, all of this propaganda is getting a little bit long in the tooth, a little bit too insufferable, where people could go ahead and previously turn a blind eye. But now that it's just far too passé, people are starting to speak up. Not only does the company employ individuals like Kelly Lombardi, who just works at Microsoft. She has such important and very inclusive ideas like raise your hand if you're not a white man and you buy video games. No hate to white dudes. It's just another day in the gaming industry that minorities have to fight to prove they exist. Kelly Lombardi sounds very ethnic, right? Minorities, huh? When women the majority on planet Earth. And yeah, when it comes to gaming, okay, as Madam Savvy points out, why'd you feel the need to phrase the tweet like this? Why can't you just say raise your hand if you like games? Are you aware that the largest demographic of gamers is Asian, not white men? What fight is happening today? Yeah, exactly. And what's the #1 demographic for as much as people like Kelly Joe and Kelly proper want to go ahead and shift the demographics? It's still, at the end of the day, dastardly men that are out there. So your attempts to try to just artificially change the demographics, I mean, we have other examples in the entertainment space of when extrinsically male brands get contorted and conformed into becoming whatever this mess in the aftermath of trying to turn it into a girl brand. Like, you take a look at what's happening with Marvel, Deadpool and Wolverine notwithstanding. But of course, that's just going to go ahead and show you exactly what's not working with the current MCU product, because yeah, you're having to rely on saving the business. You're having to put it on the shoulder of two white boys. So very interesting on that one, only to just hand that hot baton off to Agatha all along. Sure, that's going to end up working out well for you. Or especially now that we live in a post-Acolyte world, how will that work out for Star Wars? So in trying to make gaming in general a female-centric brand or a female-centric medium, how well is that working out for studios under the Microsoft banner? Did you just shut down a handful? Exactly. But hey, even though we're pointing out all of the bad things that Microsoft is doing on top of them closing department, we'll have to see how that ultimately shakes up. What they're doing in the interim, well, they're just out there jangling keys, right? Because everybody remembers the blades. They used to be on the Xbox 360. Everybody remembers when people used to make Microsoft their gaming console of choice. Remember just about 20 years ago at this point in time? Yeah, exactly. Now you can go ahead, if you're one of the 6 people that have an Xbox Series X or S console, and you can change your background. Yeah, cool. Playing with aesthetics, huh? Exactly, stuff like this that puts you in the precarious position where you have to close down a bunch of studios and you have to close entire departments because you just make these superfluous changes, and it's not advancing your product in any meaningful way, but instead just continuing to jangle the keys. Because yeah, a Xbox Series, okay, it looks like it's on death's door, but you remember the good times? Yeah, why can't you just simply go back to making those games? Oh right, because you're trying to make everything a little bit more diverse. You're trying to stick a chick in it and make it lame and gay. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.